Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Whew. Long ago, there lived a kind princess named Snow White. Her wicked stepmother, the queen, feared that someday Snow White's beauty would outshine her own. So she forced Snow White to dress in rags and work like a servant. But nothing could spoil the princess's sweet nature. Each day, the queen consulted her magic mirror. Magic mirror on the wall. Who is the fairest one of all? Each day, the mirror replied, You are the fairest of all. But one morning, the mirror declared that Snow White was the most beautiful woman in all the land, and the queen flew into a jealous rage. While Snow White attended to her chores, she sang a wish into a wishing well. She hoped that soon a prince would fall in love with her. Little did she know that a handsome prince had overheard her song. The prince fell in love with Snow White instantly. She was shy at first and fled into the castle balcony, but as he sang a love song, she placed a kiss on a friendly dove who carried the prince below. At that very moment, the jealousy queen was plotting against the princess. She ordered her royal huntsman to take Snow White into the forest and kill her. Then she held out a carved box. Bring her back with heart on this, she commanded him. Afraid of angering the queen, the huntsman took Snow White into the forest, gather wildflowers. Snow White was happy to have a day free from her rags and chores. As she picked blossoms, she sang about her prince. Unaware of the huntsman's evil intentions, Snow White smoothed a baby bird that had fallen from its nest. "Oh, please don't cry," she said. "Your mama and papa can't be far." As she spoke, the huntsman crept up behind her with his dagger at the ready. When Snow White realized what the huntsman has planned, she let out a scream, but the man could not harm the gentle girl. "Forgive me," he begged. Then he warned Snow White about the queen. "She's mad," said the huntsman. "Run away, hide." Terrified, Snow White ran into the forest. The woods were dark and full of strange noises. Owls and bats swooped down on her, and twisted branches snagged her cape. The farther Snow White ran, the more lost and frightened she became. At last she could not run no more. She collapsed into the ground and sobbed while mysterious eyes watched her from the shadows. Ooh. The eyes belonged to curious forest animals. Who crept close to comfort Snow White. She dried her tears and smiled at them. Everything is going to be all right, she said. But I do need a place to sleep at night. Maybe you know where I can stay. The animals knew the perfect place for Snow White to rest. They led her through the forest to the edge of this sunlit clearing. There stood a charming little cottage. "Oh, it's adorable!" Snow White exclaimed, "just like the dollhouse." Snow White ran into a window and peered through, but it was too dark inside to see. When she tried the door, it swung open. "Hello, may I come in?" Snow White called, but no one answered. Snow White saw 7 little chairs and a very messy home. She determined that 7 little children must live here. "We'll clean the house and surprise them," said Snow White. "Then maybe they'll let me stay." Singing cheerfully, she cleaned the cottage with the animals' help until it was sparkling. Meanwhile, in the nearby mine, the 7 dwarfs were busy digging up beautiful diamonds and jewels. It was their cottage that Snow White was cleaning. When the sun began to set, the dwarfs started their journey home, singing a jolly tune as they marched along. They had no idea what surprising waiting for them. When Snow White and her friends finished cleaning downstairs, they went upstairs to the bedroom. There, the princess saw 7 little beds with names carved on them: Doc, Happy, Sneezy, Dopey, Grumpy, Bashful, and Sleepy. Snow White yawned. "I'm a little sleepy myself," she said, lying down across the beds. The animals covered her with a sheet, and she was soon fast asleep. While Snow White slept, the dwarfs arrived at the cottage, which should have been dark and still, but smoke billowed from its chimney, and lights glowed in its window. The dwarfs didn't know what to do. "We'll sneak up," said the dwarfs named Doc. "Follow me." Doc and the other dwarfs crept into the cottage, trying not to make a sound, but they soon realized that something wasn't quite right. Their home had been cleaned, There's a dirty work foot, a dwarf named Grumpy grumbled. They heard a noise and went upstairs to investigate. Dopey and the other dwarfs tiptoed into the bedroom. Just then, Snow White yawned and stretched under the sheet. "A monster!" the dwarfs gasped. Doc quickly pulled the sheet. "Why, it's a girl!" he exclaimed. The dwarfs gazed at Snow White. "She's beautiful," Bashful said. "Just like an angel." The dwarf's voice awaked Snow White. She sat up and smiled at them. "Why, you are not children," she said. "How do you do?" "How do you do what?" Grumpy answered. But Snow White's smile was so sweet that other dwarfs can't help smiling back. Snow White easily guessed each dwarf's name. Then she introduced herself and told the dwarfs about the evil queen. "Please don't send me away," she begged. All the dwarfs agreed to let Snow White stay, except Grumpy. He wanted nothing to do with that wicked queen. Snow White promised to cook and clean for the dwarfs to return in their kindness. She had their dinner ready for that evening, but they were too dirty to sit at the table. March straight outside and wash, or you'll not get a bite to eat," she told them. The dwarfs didn't like washing, but they were willing to do it for Snow White. Only Grumpy refused. Her wiles are beginning to work," he muttered as the others began to scrub. "No one is going to make him wash up." Grumpy was wrong. "Get him!" Doc shouted. In a flash, the other dwarfs grabbed Grumpy and dumped him into the tub. He spluttered and splashed and cleaned his hands, his face, even his beard. Now everyone was ready for dinner. But far away from Dwarf's warm, cozy cottage, a single light burned high in the castle tower. The queen had once more asked her magic mirror to name the fairest on the land, but instead of naming her, the mirror replied, "Snow White still lives and the fairest in the land. 'Tis the heart of the pig you hold on your hand. The huntsman had tricked her." The evil queen stormed downstairs to create a terrible potion. The full green liquid bubbled and hissed into the glass. "Now I'll begin my spell," said the queen. The queen commanded, and she lifted the goblet onto her lips and drank. "Mwah ha ha ha!" In a moment, the queen transformed into an ugly old hag. "The perfect disguise," she cackled. Back at the dwarf's cottage, dinner was finished, and Snow White and her new friends were playing music and singing a silly song. Even Grumpy joined the fun, thumping away from the pipe organ. The gentle princess had no idea of the evil queen began to brewing on her dungeon. The queen cackled as she dipped an apple into the bubbling potion. When taste of the potioned apple in the victim's eye will close forever! Ha ha! The The only antidote to the queen's spell was love's first kiss. The wicked queen filled the basket with apples, including the poisoned one. All night she crept through the forest. By morning she was close to the dwarf's cottage and Snow White, but she could wait until the dwarfs left before approaching. As the dwarfs set out of the mine, Snow White kissed them each goodbye. Though you managed to get two kisses. Beware of strangers, Doc warned the princess. Don't let anybody or nothing in the house, Grumpy added. Snow White was busy making a pie with the shadow fell over her. She looked up and saw an old lady on the window. It's apple pies that make the men folks' mouths water. Go on, have a bite, the old lady said, offering a poisoned apple to Snow White. Snow White's bird friends knew something was wrong. Before the princess could take the apple, they dove at the stranger, pecking her hair and flapping their wings and trying to drive her away. Shame of you, frightening poor lady, Snow White scolded. Oh, my height, the old lady groaned. Take me to the house. A drink of water, please. The birds and the forest animals watched in alarm as tender-hearted Snow White helped the old woman. They knew the princess was in a terrible danger. The birds and forest animals raced the diamond mine to warn the dwarfs. They tugged the dwarfs' beards and hats. They pulled their sleeves and pushed them from behind. At last, the dwarfs understood. The queen! Snow White! Doc shouted. We gotta save her, Grumpy shouted. Back at the cottage, the old hag once again offered Snow White in the poisoned apple. Now take the apple, dearie, and make a wish. Snow White took an apple and thought of the handsome prince. I wish, she whispered. Snow White closed her eyes and lifted the apple to her lips and took a single bite. A moment later, she fell to the floor. "Now I'll be the fairest in the land," the queen cried. "Mwah, ha, 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 ha." But as the queen left the cottage, the dwarfs and the forest animals charged after her through pouring rain. They were determined to capture her. The dwarfs followed her up to the steep rocky hill. Higher and higher the queen went until she stood on the edge of the cliff. There was nowhere else for her to go. "I'm trapped!" she cried. The queen grabbed a broken tree limb and tried to pry the enormous boulder loose so it could crush the dwarfs. Crack! A blinding bolt of lightning struck off the edge of the queen stood. The edge crumbled beneath her, and with a horrible shriek, she fell into the black abyss below and never been seen again. When the weary dwarfs returned and found Snow White lying silent, they were heartbroken. But she was so beautiful, even in death, that they fashioned the coffin of gold and glass all over her. Day and night, season and season, they watched over her until the one afternoon when Snow White's prince arrived. The handsome prince had searched far and wide for the princess, and she had met at the well of the fateful morning. When he came to the clearing where Snow White lay, she knelt down and kissed her. It was love's first kiss. With a soft sigh, Snow White sat up and rubbed her eyes. The prince shouted with joy and lifted her in his arms. The dwarfs danced and laughed. And the woods rang the calls and happy forest animals. Snow White was alive. Snow White kissed each dwarf goodbye and promised to see them again soon. The prince lifted her into his horse and then led Snow White into his castle, where they lived happily ever after.